seniors, this is Dr. Ain coming to welcome you to first the last week of class, and I am so pumped. First of all, that you have made it this far, not to mention that all your success that you have obtained throughout this program. I am just celebrating you this week and so thankful that I get to come again to be with you at the very end as we conclude your academic career here leading into finals week. I know, but this is the official last day of class for you, and I am so proud of each and every one of you. But wanted to dive in and just cover legal aspects. So we have threaded this throughout the program, so you're familiar with a lot of this. Now I want to bring in some application to some recent events that you are probably aware of that have transpired. If you have been watching the news, you would be familiar with this case. There's a specific case that I'm referencing, and that is the case of RaDonda Vaught. And this was a nurse in Tennessee that found herself with a medication error that ended in a fatality. So I have included in Harvey a clip of that case. If you want to dive in deeper, you may do that. I have a clip here that highlights the case. It's giving some references and some thoughts and opinions on different views from nurses. But most importantly with this, I want you to peel this back and I want to hear what you think. I want to find out, first of all, who you feel is at fault. Do you feel that this was a criminal offense? And then knowing the four components of a tort or nurse negligence, which are, there first has to be a duty owed to that patient, to which there was. Mrs. Vaught, Nurse Vaught, did have a duty owed to her patient. Okay, then there has to be a breach in that duty, and again, I'm going to let you kind of answer these in your head, but how you feel that yes, there was a breach, there was a medication error. Then we roll into, was there harm or injury caused by that breach? And the answer would be again yes. Then did the breaching care for duty owed on the part of the nurse, does it directly correlate to that injury that was occurred, in this case a fatality? And again, unfortunately, we have to answer yes. So in that case, does this qualify for nursing negligence? And we would say that yes, it does qualify. So we need to peel this back. And now we're going to take this nursing negligence tort that has landed, unfortunately, a nurse in court. And we want to peel this back and put it in the context of a pandemic, and where there is a scarcity in resources, staffing, all sorts of resources that were stretched completely to the point of tearing and no return, it seemed. So we found many nurses saying, I'm not going to practice in this kind of conditions. I can't. I won't put myself at jeopardy, my license at jeopardy, in order to try to provide. The risk versus benefit of providing care amidst the pandemic with scarcity of resources was too much. It weighed that there's too great of a risk for the benefit. In some cases, some nurses rose up, stood in the gap. Not that one is right and one is wrong, just two different perspectives. Thus, this can also fall into an ethical dilemma. Some nurses chose to walk away from the profession, to hit the pause button on the profession and on your obligation as a nursing professional, while others stepped up and they tried to fill in the gap for this. In the case of Nurse Vaught, she found herself stretched very, very thin, and she thought, according to the interviews in the case, if you follow this, that she would stand in the gap and do the best she could with the resources that she had available. So again, being stretched very thin, we know that we are setting up for errors to take place, for there to be breaches in the standard of care. Yet we tell nurses, make sure that you function and you practice within the standard of care. If you do, then you will be covered, and you will have that covering from the larger institution if you're within the standard of care. But we got into a real dilemma amidst a pandemic, and the emphasis again is on the scarcity of resources. There was not adequate staffing. Not to mention there was not adequate protective equipment. And it went on and on. We found ourselves in the midst of a storm. Certain nurses stepped into the gap and said, I'm going to do everything I can. Although I know I can't do everything, I'm going to do everything I personally can. I can't fix the problem, but I can help contribute to a solution by showing up and doing the best I can. We knew that was setting up for the potential of breaches in care, and that's exactly what unfolded, unfortunately, in the case of Nurse Vaught losing a patient due to her breach in care, so a fatality. Was this criminal? Criminal usually is defined by an intent. Did she show up to work that day intending to make a fatal error? I would like to guess not. I don't think any of us do, but she's tried as a criminal and now with the sentence of imprisonment. So that is coincides with a criminal offense. So there are a lot of layers to unpeel on this onion with this particular case. And everything that you've learned through the program when it comes to ethical dilemmas, and I know this is surrounding, supposed to have an emphasis of legal, but I do want you to put on your ethical lenses as well as your legal lenses and just peel this back. Imagine yourself. What would you do? You're embarking on your profession in just a few weeks, okay? What would you do if you were in this situation? It's good to predetermine that now to avoid conflict later. So what would you do? Who do you feel was at fault? Is there shared fault? Is there any fault and responsibility on the case of the institution or the profession? Or does it fall solely on that nurse? Could it have been there have been repercussions that just entailed maybe the discontinuation of her license, revoking that license? Would that have been enough? Did we need to go to the criminal offense with imprisonment? In some view, I have talked to a lot of healthcare professionals surrounding similar viewpoints as well as vastly opposing viewpoints. There are very strong opinions when it comes to this case. I would love to know what you think. And there's not a right and wrong answer, and your opinions may change as a student comparatively to when you are practicing as a nurse, and that's okay. We're always evolving. So I would also like you to put on empathetical lenses and think through the other angle of this, of the family of that patient that was lost. And what would you feel would be compensable for a case such as this? There obviously is a lot beyond that. This is the repercussions that happened to the nurse with the imprisonment. They were also compensated, but at what point would you feel that would be fully justifiable? So I'd love to again get your thoughts from that angle as well. But there are objectives here. I have included a video. Feel free to take a deeper dive by researching more. You may have added insights and golden nuggets that you want to bring, little pearls of wisdom that you have regarding this case. Have a Dropbox set up. I would love for you to throw your thoughts in there, and I look forward to viewing your video recording. Let's say maybe 3 to 5 minutes of a response regarding this case. And again, just kind of process and reflect, and looking forward to, in a few weeks, you being in a similar situation. Risk versus benefit. Even if it's not a pandemic, you may be asked to do things that you don't feel competent or comfortable or confident doing and taking on. And how will you handle that? So just process that. Let that marinate for a while this week. I am more than happy to take a deeper dive up in my office as well. If you would love to connect, I certainly would with you. But just hear my message, hear my theme, that I am so proud of you, and I look forward to connecting. If not before, at your pinning, highly anticipating that time spent with you. But again, so very proud of you, and finish strong, and I look forward to connecting very soon.